MTV recently interviewed Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka about the prospect of Nintendo movies, now that they've been talking so publicly about leveraging their IP and other media beyond games, and they revealed some interesting possibilities. First, Tezuka said that he would cast a boyish woman to play Link in a potential Zelda film. Miyamoto said he'd cast actors who are twin brothers in real life to play Mario and Luigi. And finally, they asked him whether he was making a feature-length Pikmin film to follow up the Pikmin short movies, and he sort of laughed and said, "That's a secret. I can't comment on that now."
So, my first thought on Tezuka's comments about who he would cast to play Link is, it just strongly reminded me of Peter Pan. How, like, in old incarnations, they always had a woman play Peter Pan. A lot of people, I think, were upset by this, mostly because I think they just saw the headline and said, no, Link's not a girl, but, it sounds like he still wants to keep the character male. He just wants to go the Peter Pan route.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it really called to mind the debate, I guess it was over a year ago now, about whether Link is a girl in Zelda U, whether Link could ever be a girl in a Zelda game, and I just thought it was so funny, because I frankly don't really have any opinion on that debate, so when I hear someone with a really, really strong opinion that just absolutely refuses to hear anything about it, it just kind of makes me giggle. And so here, seeing people's responses to that debate, and then here's Tezuka saying, "Oh yeah, it would be a woman," it's just like puts a big smile on my face.
And we've said this before, but Link is pretty effeminate already, so
yeah.
It seems like that's a
He's
natural
pretty.
sort of choice. But I think if they were going to make a Hollywood movie, that would be the time to break Link out of that paradigm. Not that I have anything against it, like on principle or anything.
Being effeminate?
Yeah.
Okay. But that means I could never play him.
You can play whoever you want, Colin.
I can play a little girl.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke that happened recently. Continue, Alex.
I think with the state of like fantasy media now, it would be a good time to kind of have Zelda kind of shift into more of a contemporary fantasy, I guess, bent compared to what it's been over the last like 5 years in particular. But
do you mean like Game of Thrones, The Hobbit kind of contemporary fantasy?
I would say if The Hobbit if the Hobbit film trilogy, or The Hobbit film, because I refuse to acknowledge that actually is a trilogy, if it were made with more of the tone of the book in mind and less of the sort of Lord of the Rings super serious action flick thing in mind.
See, I think that Zelda should go the route of Brave.
Oh.
Like an animated film that it's very cartoonish, but also the style of animation is still 3D. And
it's very grounded still.
Yeah. It feels like real people, but they still have these ridiculous, kind of a lot like Twilight Princess sort of did.
Yeah. Yeah, there are realistic touches, but
and
the
Twilight
characters
Princess
themselves,
at least the second most successful Zelda game ever. I suppose if you count the remake of Ocarina of Time, it's the highest selling one. But so taking that Twilight Princess approach would probably be best if you're trying to attract a large group of fans.
Yeah, as far as the color palette, I'm not sure that they would want to go that dark and sort of grainy.
Yeah.
Maybe they would. But I think the real heart of Zelda is sort of a blend of the Ocarina of Time color palette with the Twilight Princess color palette. Those two styles, somewhere sort of in the middle, I think is the heart of what Zelda should be on film.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And we've seen a lot of super serious like fantasy games recently that have been less brown and gray and more vibrant. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that that's something that people would be turned off by who wanted a realistic Zelda.
Mm-hmm. Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.